Hey there, fellow wanderers. Tonight, you find yourself under a vast expanse of Sumerian stars. The air hangs heavy with the dry embrace of the desert, a gentle breeze carrying with it the distant whisper of history. The sands are still warm beneath your feet from the day's scorching sun, and the night is alive with the faint hum of insects. The smell of ancient earth mingles with a distant scent of incense, hinting at the sacred grounds nearby. As your eyes scan the hard-edged silhouettes of the looming ziggurats carved against the night sky, it's easy to imagine the long-forgotten murmurs of bustling city-states stirring around you. This is not a fairy tale. It's the age of restless kings and wacky wars among Sumerian city-states, capturing the absurdity of human ambition and folly orchestrated upon this earthen stage. So before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. You feel yourself pulled, as if by the magnetic force of antiquity, over the desert sands and into the heart of these city-states. Stars hang suspended in the ink-black sky, cosmic witnesses to the chaos below. Down here, among the labyrinthine streets of Uruk and Ur, Larsa and Lagash, kings and commoners navigate the tangled web of power and politics. Each city-state stands as a proud bastion, brimming with innovation, ambition, and the faintly absurd struggles that mark their distinctive conflicts. As the cool night breeze tickles your skin, you glimpse Uruk, where the legendary King Gilgamesh once reigned a figure as formidable as the very bricks that form the city's towering walls. Take a moment to breathe in this regal blend of history and myth, a tale that survives the passing millennia. But tonight, the heavy air vibrates with a mixture of anticipation and rivalry, emotions palpable like vines twisting through the heart of this civilization. To your left, you notice the city-state of Eridu, supposedly the world's oldest city, glittering under starlight with mystical reverence. It's a place where stories began in the cradle of civilization, stories of gods crafting the land from clay, like children molding their dreams and nightmares in the sandbox. Historians still argue whether Eridu truly holds the accolade of the oldest city, or if such claims are the result of city-state competition extending even into the beyond. With a gentle touch of whimsy, your imagination wields the paintbrush, envisioning processions of ancient peoples moving through these city-states. The hum of life comes to your Irsa bazaar full of laughter and barter, artisans chiseling details into alabaster sculptures, scribes capturing the annals of war, peace, and those peculiar moments that history chuckles at under its breath. Can you smell the aroma wafting from carts of spice traders, filling the air with odors that promise exotic tales of foreign lands? Listen closely, and you can almost hear the thrumming timpani of distant drums, invoking both heraldry and the call to action, where the conflicts of city-states alternate rhythm les between serious pursuit and downright eccentricity. As your thoughts meander through this vivid tapestry, you can't help but marvel at the mix of human emotion, ambition, and serendipity that guided the hands of Sumer's kings and councilors. Here, where the line between divine sanction and personal agenda blurred into a strange quagmire, the very ground seems to resonate with timeless echoes of ambition and folly. You pause to appreciate the ferocity of these ancient city-states tightly packed worlds of their own, both in cooperation and competition. Rulers stand tall with a curious blend of ambition and piety, their crowns glittering under the same stars that gaze down on us today. And you, fellow wanderer, are left to ponder the absurdity of it all. These warring city-states clutching for glory in an endless waltz of conflict and reconciliation. But what storytelling can be complete without acknowledging the touch of serendipity that weaves through the Sumerian city-states? Remember, Along these twisty roads of baked earth and tumbled bricks, you might find a donkey pulling a cart laden with clay tablets of wisdom or mischief. Our visit to these lands lifts the heavy veil of time, revealing the perennial dance of history swirling both boldly and with a whimsical flourish. Imagine old soldiers recounting tales of skirmishes and fantastical encounters by campfire light, laughter echoing into the desert night as stars shine without a care over the ironies of men. These places, where once prosperous civilizations brewed tales of ingenuity and eccentricity, remind us of the beautiful imperfections of history, a tapestry adorned with the thread of folly tracing alongside innovation. You allow yourself a wry smile as you imagine the whispered debates of Sumerian kings filtered through our modern sensibilities. Shadow, warriors, plotting whimsical mechanisms, as political rivals fume with a slight undertone of farce. The air grows cooler, settling your spirit as it invites you to journey deeper into this world of astoundingly human struggles and stolen moments amidst the chaotic grandeur. Rest easy, wanderer, as your mind's eye drifts along the gentle currents of tremulous intrigue and legacy carved into timeless rock and sand. As you step further into the heart of the Sumerian world, the bustling life of these ancient city-states unfolds before you like an elaborate tapestry rich with color and movement. Here in the cribs and cradles of civilization, you find yourself surrounded by a panorama of vivid sights and sounds, a testament to the resourceful ingenuity and vibrant culture of the Sumerians. Can you hear it? The echoing chatter of merchants peddling their wares as you approach the marketplaces of Uruk. The air is rich with the smell of roasted barley, mixed spices, and the earthy fragrance of fresh clay pots. Traders, with their robes catching the light breeze, huddle in small clusters, exchanging goods and stories, each more grandiose than the last. While you're here, feel free to slip into the crowd, becoming one with this spirited symphony of barter and banter. In these cities, innovation courses through the very streets. You pass by towering ziggurats reaching skyward, their grandiose steps marking the ascent to the gods in the heavens. Sacred and secular blend seamlessly here, as the Sumerians navigate life under the watchful eyes of deities embedded in every aspect of daily existence. Somewhere down the way, the tinkering of artisans fills the air, the clinking of metal, the chiseling on stone. The siege of curiosity in your mind matches their ceaseless, creative vigor. As the backdrop to this theatrical life, the Sumerian writing system cuneiform emerges as one of humanity's oldest forms of writing. It's here, in the swirling patterns of wedge-shaped marks, that records of transactions, religious texts, and even a few wacky tales of city-state conflicts are immortalized. And just like that, you've stumbled upon a cornerstone of human progress, supporting a civilization where written words forge societal bonds and document the glories and defeats of kings. Historians still argue whether cuneiform was truly the first writing system, but there's no debate about its significance in shaping how societies structured themselves from ancient times onward. It's both remarkable and a tad amusing to consider how these abstract symbols guided the fates of kings, merchants, and common folk alike. Imagine, if you will, a sleepy scribe inadvertently writing down 40 sheep instead of 400, a small error but one with potentially monumental, or at least highly embarrassing, consequences for supplies during a city's defense. Yet another scene captures your attention, folks bustling toward the temple precinct, carrying offerings to win favor from An, Enlil, and Inanatha divine trio woven into the very fabric of Sumerian life. Each city-state has its patron deity, further deepening the rich tapestry of piety that influences the alliances and conflicts born from divine edicts and human ambitions. As you wander further, let your imagination take you to the households where daily life unfolds, with both the mundane and the marvelous. Picture an evening meal, the flavor of freshly baked flatbreads accompanied by a hint of date wine on the tongues of laughing families recounting tales of the day's adventures. The warmth of their clay brick homes is offset by the cool evening breeze, drifting through open windows as they discuss everything from the next harvest to city politics. It's no surprise that complex legal codes govern life here, guiding both justice and the occasional absurdity. Whether dealing with property disputes or familial affairs, legal decrees etched into tablets echo the challenges and ideals of society seeking equilibrium amid inherent chaos. These codes reflect not only a striving for order, but an acknowledgement of human fallibility, a quirkiness, mirrored in tales of kings who shaped laws as idiosyncratically as they ruled. You look around, finding yourself entertained by the ease with which the absurd finds a niche, even within structured lives like a city council's decision to commemorate a monumental but completely trivial achievement. Perhaps they've deemed the creation of an oversized clay tablet listing all the state's victories, even the skirmish against a rival's rogue donkey, necessary for posterity. It leaves you chuckling at how formalities and frivolities intertwine throughout history. In this cradle of civilization, it becomes apparent that the Sumerians possessed not just a pragmatic resilience, but a vivid sense of humor and perspective, a certain acknowledgement that amid conflict and cooperation, life's fuller when it's a bit absurd. It's the laughter that connects generations, spoken in the same breath as myth, legend, and everyday recounting. The sun begins its descent, casting a golden hue that softens the city's robust walls. As night weaves its tapestry of shadows, life doesn't rest. Dreams merely take their seat alongside the starlit relics of daytime pursuits. Your senses are both comforted and enlivened by the soul of a world where creativity and practicality coexist, rooted deeply in the cradle of human creativity. It's a cycle these glimpses into day-to-day life meld seamlessly into the rhythm of existence in a time long past, inviting a smile warmed by both shared humanity and historic curiosity. As the night transitions toward early dawn, you find yourself enveloped in the massive shadows cast by the formidable walls and warrior kings of the Sumerian city-states. Each city's defensive walls rise like colossal sentinels, built from sun-baked clay bricks, that carry the very essence of resilience and authority. You can almost feel the coolness of these bricks against your fingertips, as if the intensity of ancient conflicts still pulses within them, preserved by time and sun alike. Imagine the bustling life within those thick walls, the clamor of preparations, the anxious whispers of the people, and the confidence of kings who stand as both protectors and sparks of war, always poised between defense and ambition. These warrior kings strut across their realms, clad in intricately crafted armor, with myriad emotions etched onto their faces: pride, determination, and, perhaps, just a touch of paranoia that keeps them always a little on edge. It's a lesson in theatrics, where power is projected through mere presence, a timeless performance played under the vigilant gaze of watchful guards. A mainstream historical fact that comes to mind reveals these walls as crucial for distinguishing one city-state from another. They didn't just keep enemies out, they marked the boundaries of influence and identity. Each brick stacks upon the last, a testament to the city's strength and a canvas for the legacies of kings whose ambitions reached as far as the eye can see. Yet, within these formidable enclosures, park your mind behind the throne where the Assyrian sun gleams on magnificent seals and ceremonial unicorns, yes, unicorns, prance across the regal tapestry. Here, the kings formulate plans not just for building their cities or nurturing their people, but for expanding their domains through the age-old tactic of conquest. Historians still argue whether these kings were driven more by the pragmatic need to control resources or simply by ego, each one wanting to outshine their peers in this ancient game of supremacy. Characters like Eonatum of Lagash offer thrilling tales of conquest, with ambitions that played out across sprawling battlegrounds. His reign is marked by his boasting cuneiform inscriptions, which earn him the nickname, the king who couldn't say enough. His campaigns against the neighboring states of Umma and Elam, epitomized the wacky nature of these wars clashes that turned fields into furious arenas where warriors would occasionally pause, to consider the absurdity of their endeavors. Under his command, even the act of erecting a victory stele, the famous stele of the vultures, serves as a vivid keepsake in Sumerian propaganda, not just a chronicle of conquests, but a monument to storytelling that curiously skips over less glamorous details. These battles, though fierce and grandiose, often hinge on surprisingly trivial causes. Land disputes over Fertile Crescent plots might escalate into drawn-out conflicts, while some wars have a spark of the particularly bizarre. Picture two city-states embroiled in a heated struggle over a sacred temple goat believed to bestow fortune or drought, depending on whose field it happened to wander into. The quirky or fringe tidbit dances into view with the tale of Lugal-Zaggesi, whose ambitions for near-mythical dominion saw him dodge arrow-sand peculiar court satirayas he gradually unified Sumer under his rule. Yet, it's like a cosmic jest that his achievements are later neatly undone by Sargon of Akkad, a figure who stands as both a conqueror and an enigma, leaving future scholars scratching their heads at the murky origins of his empire. You can't help but imagine the wry conversations exchanged among the warrior kings in a rare moment of camaraderie, shifting their focus between the lofty tones of grandeur and sudden quirks of fate. They might jest about the peculiarities of city-states as much as they scheme for their dominions. There is an undeniable camaraderie in their shared experience, even if it's painted with layers of rivalry and the subdued knowledge that, in the repercussive dance of ambition, the lines between victory and folly are blurred. These walls, these warriors, they are more than just the backdrop of Sumer's martial history. They stand as reminders of human endurance molded in mortar and sweat, building on the notion that life, fortified by resilience and touch-ups of humor, resonates beyond the parameters of conquest alone. As dawn edges closer, the chill of night slowly transitions into the warm promise of a new day. You feel a palpable warmth in the air, a nod to the sun, awakening life within these relentless walls. The tall figures of warrior kings fade into the soft morning light, taking their ambitions and oddities with them. The city, humming to life within bounded walls, once again becomes the cradle of infinite possibilities, intertwined with the whimsies of humanity's persistent spirit of adventure. As the first rays of sunlight creep over the horizon, gently illuminating the land, you find yourself drawn to the heart of Sumerian spirituality, the intricate world where gods in the Mudbrick reign supreme. Here, in a realm where divine influence saturates every aspect of life, city-states mold their identities and destinies in the likeness of their chosen deities. From the towering ziggurats to the smallest clay figurines found within the local temples, evidence of divine presence touches every grain of sand. Imagine the air filled with the sacred aroma of incense burned in reverence, its tendrils rising like prayers toward the shimmering heavens. The chanting of priests echoes through the streets, mingling with the murmur of the waking city as you walk through the spiritual epicenter where whispers of miracles and divine decrees dictate the tempo of everyday life and grand campaigns alike. It's a place where mortal and divine act in concert, often producing outcomes both wondrous and whimsically unexpected. But under the shade of these grand structures, you wonder how deeply this divine mandate influences the actions of the warlike kings and their people. Each city-state finds itself tethered to a patron deity whose favor is sought not just in matters of fertility and harvest, but also as a divine endorsement for war and peace. Take Nippur, for instance, where the god Enlil reigns. This place is not only a religious hub, but serves as a neutral ground where disputes are settled, with kings swearing oaths under the all-seeing power of Enlil to maintain what might be a whimsical concept of peace. Throughout Sumer, it is not uncommon for gods to take sides, which adds a certain theatrical element to the proceedings. The Sumerian pantheon is large, full of gods and goddesses, each with their own unique personalities and agendas. Historians still argue whether these divine influences shaped diplomatic strategies or merely served as convenient justifications for monarchs' personal ambitions. Yet, it is undeniable that the tapestry of spirituality is interwoven with politics and war in ways both complex and curiously comical. A mainstream historical fact that's fascinating is how temples were not just spiritual centers but also economic powerhouses. They controlled vast tracts of land and resources, ultimately becoming key players in the political and military maneuvers of their city-states. You can picture the high priest's equal parts spiritual guides and economic strategists negotiating divine favor as cleverly and carefully as they managed temple treasury accounts. Wandering within these holy precincts, your imagination might hand you an almost cinematic Flasha temple council in spirited debate over an oracle's declaration that claims a minor god had temporarily misplaced their power. Such events, while likely rare, add a touch of whimsy to divine narratives that affected real-life decisions, and sometimes, deciding to go to war over who should put the misplaced god back on track seems almost absurdly logical. Consider, too, the quirky tidbit about how some ancient artifacts suggest that animal and even human sacrifices might have occasionally been seen as necessary to appease the deities and curry favor, though the evidence remains spotty, allowing you as the 21st century wanderer to breathe a sigh of relief that your cat, stolen away centuries prior, was likely safe from divine appeasement. Amidst the reverence and pageantry, the Sumerians' relationship with their gods wasn't all solemnity and grandiose proclamations. It carried a more relatable, even respectful, interaction marked by moments of humor, humanity, and humility as priests recount stories of gods displaying quite human-like flaws. Imagine what a relief that would be to the farmer who forgot a prayer before losing a crop to drought, or the potter whose kiln malfunctioned just before a temple festival knot, unlike excusing a small misstep to one's grouchy uncle who occasionally misplaces his spectacles. As the sun climbs higher, these divine semblances begin to retreat back into the shadows of their monumental shrines, their influence rolling outwards over the city-state, like a protective yet mischievous aura. Here, amid piety and ceremony, amid proclamations uttered through the hallowed halls, you realize it's not the will of the gods alone that guides life, but the interpretations of that will crafting decisions into the impressively diverse and somewhat whimsical tapestry of human existence that thrives within these city walls. And so, you move on from these hallowed spaces, taking with you an appreciation for how the divine and human narratives entwine so freely. As another dawn ensues, you leave behind the echoes of chants and the lingering smell of incense, reminding yourself that wherever there is divine intrigue, there surely exists a quirk, a laughter echoing through time, a testament to humanity's endearing dance with the divine. As the golden morning sun stretches its fingers across the landscape, your journey leads you to the tangled web of the great Canal Hijinks realm, where the natural world collides with human ingenuity and sometimes folly. In the cradle of civilization, where life owed much to the ebb and flow of the Tigris and Euphrates, the Sumerians mastered the art of irrigation, an art that wielded both prosperity and peril. Picture the labyrinth of canals and ditches weaving through the fertile crescent like arteries, carrying the lifeblood of water to feed the parched soil of city-states hungry for crops and control. Here you are, walking along the edges of these life-giving channels, where the air is thick with the smell of damp clay and the promise of greenery. The delicate balance of water management, so vital to sustaining civilizations, often played the role of both protector and perpetrator in the convoluted theater of Sumerian wars. For the Sumerians, irrigation was not merely a task of lifting water but a grand dance with natura dance in which wars could be waged without even drawing a sword. Imagine the sly generals, dressed in robes rather than armor, plotting to sabotage rival city-states by redirecting or damming their canals, transforming water shortages into an insidious weapon of war. This unconventional warfare required wits over weaponry, where the goal was to starve fields into submission rather than soldiers. There is something oddly amusing about these water wars, where the tit-for-tat exchanges might involve floodgates rather than cavalry charges, and victory might be achieved with a cunning twist of the wrist rather than the clanging clash of arms. Historians still argue whether these tactics arose more from desperation or innovation, But what is sure is that they offer a quirky contrast to the bloodier methods of conquest, often glorified in traditional war narratives. A mainstream historical fact sees the Sumerians using this highly sophisticated system of canals to boost agricultural output, a feat remarkable for its time. This elaborate network allowed city-states to thrive, but it also acted as Achilles' heel. Along such maneuvers, we see the calculated precision required to manipulate these waters might in its own right that, when disrupted, could prove as disastrous as a monster writhing in chaos. And let's not forget the fringes of humor inherent in such strategy. Imagine a scenario where a zealous local official misinterprets his ruler's curt directive as an endorsement for unchecked canal expansion, only to inadvertently flood the market, quite literally, leaving merchants floating alongside their wares and customers resigned to archaeological puns. Another quirky tidbit unfolds with occasional flooding, not of the literal kind, but intrigue and espionage, a hallmark of Sumerian dynamics. Picture merchants acting as double agents or priests, privately tipping off neighboring city-states in hopes of securing favorable water rights. These sand and water dramas play out with all the flair of a modern spy novel, minus the dark sunglasses and encrypted cell phones. As you wander further along the canals, allow your thoughts to drift with the water, contemplating the role of nature as both sustenance and adversary. In this world, the might of Sumerian kings and the wiles of their councilors depend as much on hydrology as valor. Their stories form rivers of narrative that confluence into a broader testament of civilizations built upon the fertile floodplains and shifting sands of time. With the sun now hanging high, its reflections dance upon the water's surface, casting dazzling sprays of light in every direction. You feel the vitality of this place, the intersection where human endeavor, natural forces, and the gentle absurdities of life meet in a succession of cyclical triumphs and failures. And there, alongside the canals, you find yourself struck by the realization that water, this most essential of elements, shapes not only the land, but the ebb and flow of human conflict and cooperation. It becomes vividly clear that in the struggle to control nature's bounty, humanity itself often hosts a theater, wrought with the curious blunders and victories that make history both compelling and somewhat endearingly imperfect. Moving onward, the whispers of canal waters fade into the background, leaving a gentle current of reflection in their wake. You advance, feeling a growing kinship with those ancient souls who sought to tame the inevitable, finding through their quests a unique narrative of ingenuity marked by both seriousness and sweet absurdity, a testament to the enduring spirit of civilization traversing the streams of history. As you continue your journey through the storied lands of Sumer, you stumble into the shadowy yet fascinating realm of cunning councilors and their plots. Here, power isn't simply wielded with the swing of a sword, but rather through the subtlety of whispers and the ink of clandestine agreements. It is a world of intrigue and finesse where words cut sharper than blades and alliances are often just as fragile as the clay tablets on which they are recorded. Within the intricately woven society of Sumerian city-states, it was not just the kings who played the game of power, but also the clever councilors, those shadowy figures behind the throne. Picture them standing in the coolness of palace chambers, their fingers stained with ink, quills poised as they navigate the very flows of destiny through carefully crafted missives and policies. Imagine, if you will, these clever minds orchestrating subtle stratagems as they negotiate treaties and broker marriages, their every move calculated to tip the balance of power in their city-state's favor. Beneath the regal calm and the pressing dim of torches, their work is a study in patience, wit, and sometimes just a bit of delightful duplicity. Here, in these moments of strategic genius or foolish error, hilarity sometimes ensues in the most unexpected of places. Historians still argue whether these machinations were motivated by genuine loyalty to king and country, or if they were merely self-serving attempts to grasp at personal glory. But one need not dig too deeply to recognize the keen intelligence of these diplomatic puppeteers. whose deft handling of local tensions and foreign negotiations likely spared their cities from unwelcome conflicts or enticed unsuspecting rivals into outright folly. Among the mainstream historical figures, some of these councilors stand out for their effectiveness. Take, for instance, the enigmatic figure of Lou Galligani, whose tenure was near legendary for the deftness with which he managed treaties with formidable neighbors. Under his tenure, clever peacemakings became somewhat of an art form, with no subtle opportunity missed to turn a phrase or forge a partnership. His knack for comforting allies, while simultaneously revealing rival weaknesses, was akin to an elaborate dance on the sharp edge of a knife. Yet, within the world of diplomacy and intrigue, not every plot moved with such grace. Quirky or fringe tidbits remind us just how delightfully imperfect the realm of political machinations could be. Imagine a fabled gathering where city-state diplomats mistook roadside shenanigans for covert signals, resulting in a slightly embarrassing meeting at the borders where each assumed the other was hosting a ceremonial exchange. Cue the moment of awkward chuckle-san ancient predecessor to modern diplomatic missteps, but with more construction and much less text messaging. Embark further into these schemes with tales of treaties forged on what seemed to be fortuitous omenstrades involving naval superiority in exchange for the prophecy of an average winter. Let your mind wander amongst the playful absurdities where fate, foresight, and an occasional guiding dream paved paths both storied and speculative. At the close of a busy day filled with negotiations, it's humorously forgivable to imagine a counselor sneaking off to the temple to bargain with a slightly tipsy divine oracle for just a little extra favor. For in these moments, the timeless humanity and vulnerability that underlie grandeur merges with the endless pursuit of prosperity and peace. The cunning councilors of Sumer leave behind intricate weaves of history colored by their ambition, ingenuity, and occasional slip-ups. Their legacy, often debated in scholarly circles, is imprinted in the fabric of ancient diplomacy, sewing together friendships and enmities, comforts and blunders, in an orchestration that baffles, amuses, and intrigues. As the sun begins to set, casting a golden hue and elongating the shadows of the city's spires, you move past the towering stone of their influence, looking back on the swirling mix of diplomacy and humor that define this illustrious time. Their shadows fade under the moon's silvery gaze, the fleeting whispers of their schemes mingling with the night breeze, their laughter somehow echoing across time with a nod and a wink forged in the quest for balance. A glance behind reveals the palatial walls and twisty corridors slipping into the night held high with a smirk as you move forward, to chase the whispers of those who plotted not only against their neighbors but occasionally themselves. With stories of mischief and prowess gently bundled beneath your arm, you've richer tales to ponder, reinforced by the enduring whimsy of Sumerian councils. Continuing onward, you step into a land illuminated by a softer light, reflecting both the triumphs and the gentle ironies of those seekings to carve paths from clay with skillful hands and nuanced tongues, and the reminder that while history may take some unpredictable turns, the play of shadows, laughter, and ingenuity remains forever timeless. As the gentle lull of night wraps itself around the city-states, you find yourself wandering into the realm where love affairs turned battlegrounds. Here, in the cities of Sumer, the passions of the heart intertwine with political dramas, creating ebbs and flows of emotion as powerful and unpredictable as the Tigris and Euphrates themselves. Imagine being pulled into a world where romance breathes a different life into state affairs, tilting the scales of power with all the subtlety and chaos of Cupid's whimsical yet sharp aim. The air is thick with the scent of jasmine and the tension of forbidden liaisons, as moonlit whispers escape through lattice windows and alcoves, where amorous entanglements threaten to tip kingdoms into conflict. In this tapestry, woven with both affection and ambition, it is not uncommon for love to serve as both the tie that binds and the spark that ignites otherwise senseless wars. Picture the grandiose wedding ceremonies designed as meaningful unions between city-states, where veils and vows symbolize much more than love. They are the gentle negotiating tools, as talks often thrum beneath the starlit festivities. Sweet serenades strum, along with the whispered intrigues that follow such unions forged for peace or advantage. Among the stories, such alliances weren't always so serendipitous, often embodying historians' cherished interdiction. Historians still argue whether specific marriages did more to hinder or help the political ambiance of these states. Take, for instance, Dumuzi and Inanna coupling, mythologized and adored, that bore undertones of political entwine, often retold as a tale of divine partnerships with significant worldly implications. This world births charmingly quirky scenarios where the crossing of hearts might inadvertently lead to retaliatory raids. Imagine a seemingly simple love triangle, where a potential suitor misinterprets affection as loyalty, resulting in awkwardly orchestrated skirmishes over misunderstandings as commonplace as wooing mishaps gone awry. One mainstream historical fact revolves around the practice of dowries and property exchanges marking political alliances, acts that bound love and diplomacy together, forging literal bridges between familial ties and territorial agreements. These exchanges were acts of careful calculation, where admiring love feathered its nest alongside the durable bark of strategic asset building. It's a historical highway of romance paved with both sincere affection and the intentional lieu of power exchange. Make your way to tales of feasts and festivals, where disguises and intrigue dance beneath the winking moon. A quirk of ancient relations unfolds as you imagine a visiting suitor mistaking the queenly regalia of one host for his beloved betrothed, inciting a lighter drama that echoes throughout courts in hurried apology and good-natured harangues. In the wider court theater, whispers of romance thread through the stalwart fabric of daily governance, providing both comic relief and cautionary tale. Perhaps, dark courtyards bore laughter or lament by masked lovers seeking to steal moments away from watchful eyes anxious about liaisons' political ramifications. Humanity's timeless romantic woes blend seamlessly with public security, creating a delicate dance of intentions, often leading to narratives that loop across time, resonating through heartstrings to melodious clinks of diplomacy. As stars glitter overhead, dawning realization highlights how these love affairs amplify the all-too-familiar interplay of passion, politics, and power. It's both poignant and ironic to think that an arched glance, tender whisper, or sincere promise could offer the seed of either peaceful harvest or thorny turmoil, chaining fates together by silk threads of affection and policy. Wander now past these midnight tendencies to fields where laughter pours warmly from parting souls enamored of history's lingering influences. With each step, envision how love sometimes illusionary, occasionally sincere harness the power of kings twice, despite only being a pawn in greater games. As dawn hints its arrival, casting the city and its storied streets in that faint prelude of light, the entwining tale leaves behind an exquisite parable of scratching quills and fervent hearts, where every sigh and slipped verse capture both vulnerability and strength. Love, in all its wondrous complexity and by its curious effects, propels the heartbeats of those city-states, still echoing within corridors of memory. Our journey onward calls, as romances fade briefly under golden light tales rendered complete in temporal streams, rendered obvious only when juxtapositions come alive in the shadow aquarelle of longing and laughter. Let echoes linger in pulse patterns, haunting as drums, casting stories beyond horizon crests where dawn emerges, beckoning anew toward the yet unseen pages ahead. As the first light of dawn spills over the horizon, you wander into the world of beasts of burden and battle, where the line between the domestic and the dreadful blurs in the fierce heat of Sumerian battlefields. In this ancient realm, animals play a pivotal role, serving as both steadfast companions and fierce instruments of war. Picture the bustling marketplaces, where the bray of donkeys and the lowing of cattle form a symphony of daily life. The air tinged with the earthy aroma of animals mingles with the sweat and determination of traders negotiating deals that could mean life or death for their struggling city-state. Here, in the cradle of civilization, beasts are far more than mere cargo, they are vital components of the Sumerian wheel, turning endlessly towards progress and survival. The mainstream historical fact lies in the influence of these animals on agriculture and warfare alike. From the tireless toil of the donkey carrying goods and warriors to the rhythmic trot of oxen plowing furrows, these creatures are silent witnesses to the rise and fall of empires. Imagine the sight of a king's chariot, pulled by powerful onagers, thundering forth in a show of strength, a spectacle of intimidation that ripples through opposing ranks. And yet, amid the serious outlay of animal-assisted warfare, there exists a delightful fringe of oddity. The Sumerians, ever keen to harness the wild and wonderful, were known to train ostriches as battle birds. Yes, you heard right, giant, flightless birds, galloping alongside men, their feathery prowess adding an unexpected twist to the theater of war. Imagine the comical absurdity as these giant birds, donned with colorful feathers and perhaps carrying javelins, flap across the battlefield, leaving foes and friends alike in flustered bewilderment. The scene becomes even more fascinating when you consider the intelligence that goes behind training these creatures. Picture a seasoned animal handler, clad in simple garb, coaxing the ostriches into formation with a mixture of treats and gentle nudges. His methods a strange blend of magic and sheer tenacity. Historians still argue whether these avian warriors were a stroke of tactical genius or an eccentric footnote in Sumerian military history, but there's no denying the unique charm they bring to tales of war. As you traverse the landscape of battle, it's easy to see how animals, each with their own personalities and peculiarities, weave themselves into the broader narrative of Sumer. You come across the humbling quirkiness of goats climbing the city walls, the sight stoking both amusement and admiration for their audacity. Who knew that a creature more often associated with pastoral peace could embody such tenacity in the face of battlement? Another charming tidbit springs from the deployment of well-trained dogs, fearsome hounds, with instincts honed to perfection, serving as both guardians and scouts. Imagine these vigilant creatures prowling the perimeter of a city by night, their keen senses catching the faintest hint of would-be invaders or lurking danger. The companionship of these canine soldiers sparks a bond of loyalty that transcends time, their watchful gazes a testament to the unspoken pact between human and beast. Within the scope of this animated world, you can almost hear the gentle jingle of a camel's harness, or the rhythmic clip-clop of donkey hooves parading through the city streets, where ordinary days meet extraordinary deeds. The kinship between Sumerians and their animals is one forged in the fires of cooperation, a dynamic continuum of necessity and respect woven through life's tapestry. As twilight circles again, casting a dim glow that bathes the fields and pastures in hues of amber, you feel the enduring presence of these creatures, their lowly cries and murmurs like an ancient lullaby. They remain faithful stewards of terrain and time, partners to those who dared to dream beneath the vast skies of Sumer's storied empire. With gentle nods and the caress of evening mists, this realm of beasts in battle finds its quiet repose. Their tales, as endearing as they are enduring, blend softly into the whispers of history carried on the wings of evening breezes. You pause and smile at the charming absurdities and profound connections that wander among these paths. Stepping away, you sense the animals lingering in the periphery of your thoughts, marking their presence upon the journey through the ears of antiquity. Time may swirl onward, but the melodies of such relationships linger, still echoes of humanity and nature intertwining. The intertwined dance of laughter and loyalty under that ethereal Sumerian sky, where even the oddest of creatures found a place among kings and commoners alike. As dusk falls once more over the Sumerian landscape, your journey takes you into the heart of innovation and skill, the domain of artisans and arms. Here, in the lively workshops and forges of ancient city-states, creativity melds with martial necessity, forging tools and weapons as varied and vibrant as the craftsmen who bring them to life. Step into the bustling market lanes, where the rhythmic clang of hammer on anvil echoes through the streets, a metallic heartbeat that animates the city. The air is crisp, with the scent of freshly worked bronze mingling with the earthy smell of clay. The artisans, their hands stained with the hues of their craft, are masters of their domain, ever at work transforming raw materials into objects of beauty and war. In Sumer, each artisan bears a legacy of innovation. Imagine bronze daggers and swords that sparkle with deadly promise, their edges honed by skilled hands to precision perfection. These are not merely implements of battle, but symbols of authority and craftsmanship, a mainstream historical fact that underscores Sumerian ingenuity in metalwork. Each weapon carries a story, a testament to the seamless combination of art and practicality that characterized Sumerian society. Beyond the traditional arsenal, quirkier inventions find their place among the racks of spears and shields. Imagine stumbling across a slingshot apparatus that seems almost whimsical in design, yet deadly accurate for launching projectiles at enemy lines. The bazaar of utility showcases clever contraptions such as Assyrian sun reflectors, polished metallic discs that redirect sunlight into the eyes of approaching Peasant, amusingly practical strategy that quite literally leaves rivals dazzled and dazed. As you navigate this intricate world of craftsmanship, imagine the interplay of light and shadow within the dim glow of oil lamps flickering in the artisan quarters. Delicate motifs and intricate patterns breathe life into the pottery and metalworks, illustrating the cosmopolitan nature of Sumer's inhabitants, from the local flora to mythical beasts, even Sumerian gods and spirit guides. Historians still argue whether certain designs held significant power or were simply the whims of creative minds seeking expression. Take, for instance, the rare discovery of a helmet adorned with the likeness of a fantastical creature, perhaps intended to strike fear or amusement into the hearts of adversaries. This enigmatic piece leaves room for interpretation, a reminder of how art and emotion are captured in the layers of history. A quirky tidbit that adds flavor to our journey involves the artisan's use of crocodile teeth in jewelry or ornamental armor. It's said these were believed to imbue the wearer with the strength and stealth of this fearsome beast. Can you picture a mighty warrior marching into battle, confident in the knowledge that adornments made from the jaw of a crocodile mark him as both fierce and fashionable, a curiously elegant blend of form and function? As you wander through the avenues of production, take in the bustling scenes of potters at their wheels, sculptors chipping away at alabaster, and textile weavers casting their shuttles with deft precision. Their work resonates beyond material confines, echoing stories of cultures intertwined and creativity unrestrained by time's passage. Here, the Sumerian artisans forge connections not only with elements of the earth but also with each other, weaving a vibrant community where rivalry occasionally gives way to collaboration in the pursuit of excellence. The interplay of skill and camaraderie presents a microcosm of the city-state's broader struggles and triumphs, artfully captured in the artifacts they leave behind. As the day's labor fades into the lull of evening, these storied crafts find rest in the marketplace, closed workshops and stalls forming a tableau of stillness and anticipation for the morrow. Imagine the patter of footsteps receding into the distance, carrying both the weight of history and the lightness of invention. As you step away from the forges and the potter's wheel, the legacy of the artisans rests warmly in the folds of your imagination. Their spirit, forever etched into the handiwork of their craft, waits silently to be awakened by those who seek to uncover tales of creativity and conquest embedded in Sumer's ancient soil. With each step, the bustling streets grow quieter, the stillness of night setting in, offering you a moment to ponder the ingenious and idiosyncratic creations left by those long since past. As you look up at the bright stars above, the ever-present reminders of this once vibrant and vital world, you carry with you a newfound appreciation for the art and arms that shaped mighty empires, guided human hearts, and framed the existence of civilizations gone yet loudly lingering. As night drapes its shadowy cloak over the Sumerian landscape, you find yourself drawn into the intriguing realm of peasant uprisings and civil strife. Here, beneath the veil of grandeur and authority, lies the simmering discontent of the common folk, those who toil ceaselessly and, on occasion, rise up to challenge the mighty forces that govern their lives. Imagine the Sinia's serene countryside that stretches out under the starry sky, where laneways of crops are whispering in the breeze with promises of harvest. The air holds the faint scent of turned earth, and the distant hoot of an owl punctuates the silence, a solitary witness to the humble lives of those who till the land. It's an idyllic setting, yet one where tension hums beneath the surface, quietly brewing among fields of wheat and barley. In the rigidly structured society of Sumer, peasants bore the burdens of agriculture and construction and shouldered the weight of taxation and tribute. Over time, these demands, coupled with capricious weather and unjust governance, sowed seeds of discontent that could grow into Uprisings, a mainstream historical phenomenon, depicting the cyclical nature of revolt born out of necessity and survival. Enter the moments of unrest, where murmurs of discontent swell into rallying cries. Picture Sumerian peasants' determined faces illuminated by torchlight gathering under the protective canopy of night, their footsteps scuffling across the packed earth as resolve solidifies with every whispered conversation. In such gatherings, one might find leaders, rising figures whose voices echo above the fray with promises of change and challenge to the status quo. Historians still argue whether these uprisings were entirely peasant-led or manipulated by savvy political actors seeking to further their own agendas. Nevertheless, the uprisings represent the enduring struggle for equity and the often chaotic push against established authority, both metaphorically and quite literally shaking the foundations of city-state strongholds. Within these moments of tension, there's room for levity. Imagine a parade of fledgling insurgents, fashioning weapons from farming tools, a crescendo of plowshares, transforming into spearsa, curious testament to the resourceful resilience of those branded underestimated by their oppressors. They become a curious army, practical and yet symbolically powerful, capable of inspiring both fear and inadvertent chuckles. Where there's dissent, expect cunning and misdirection to play their part, such as a well-meaning yet misguided rebellion conspirator giving away plans in coded messages scrawled on market stall planks, only to have them misinterpreted as a shopping list by an unsuspecting vendor. It's a delightful reminder that while the cause is serious, the execution can often take unintended turns with truly hilarious or humbling consequences. And yet, beneath these spicy anecdotes lie stories of courage, those that emerge when disparity and desperation reach tipping points, forcing change upon even the most stubborn of regimes. The livelihoods of these peasants hinge on harvests and hope, their very existence a testament to the power of endurance and the potential for transformation rising from the most common of earth. As the night deepens, the cool breeze carries with it the soft sighs of a landscape underlain with struggle and fortitude. The sympathetic whisper of crops bending under the wind joins the echoes of rebellious resolves, murmured promises, and the slow but steady rhythm of change etched into the annals of time. As you step away from this arena of hope and hardship, the night fades into tranquil silency, stark contrast to the tumultuous histories just woven through fields and whispered gatherings. You carry forward a respect for the spirit of those ancient Sumerians, their narratives intertwined with resilience and the irrepressible quest for dignity amidst life's caprices. Under the vast ebony sky scattered with ancient stars, you sense their ever-watchful gleam, keeping guard over the silent emblems of past revolts and quiet victories, their solace a beacon for those who carry forth these same aspirations. The city-states, now dreaming through night's embrace, await new stories with the tranquil anticipation of dawn. Casting one last glance, you marvel at the potential for grand change, hidden within ordinariness, the triumphs of spirit flourishing. Wherever humanity honors its oldest and boldest dreams against the ordinary cadences of day-to-day life, waiting to surface over gridlocked paradigms with humor, hope, and hushed revolts in history's whispered corridors. As the night gives way to the thin light of dawn, you find yourself stepping into the alluring realm of tall tales and timeless myths where history and imagination dance together in a mosaic of legend and lore. In Sumer, the lines between fact and fiction blur seamlessly, giving rise to stories that outlast the very stones upon which they were first inscribed. Picture yourself amidst the gathered crowd at a bustling marketplace, where fresh produce and wares offer tantalizing delights to the senses. Amidst the commotion, an elderly storyteller claims a central stage, a soft breeze rustling his cloak as he poisedly begins to weave his narrative magic. His words rise like smoke, spiraling through the air, curling into images that captivate all those around, their eyes wide with anticipation and wonder. It's not just the story itself, but the way it's told, a fragile thread connecting the past's grandeur with present curiosity. These tales wend their way through the annals of ancient Sumer, preserving in poetic verse the valor of kings, the caprice of gods, and the marvels of worldly encounters. This is a culture where stories of Gilgamesh are not simply recited but revered, echoing through the corridors of time as both mortal and divine expeditions unfold against the tapestry of myth. In the legendary epic of Gilgamesh, a mainstream historical fact, we find the echoes of heroism and hubris, friendship and loss, woven into a narrative that is appealingly human at its core. Gilgamesh's daring adventures alongside Enkidu capture hearts not just for grandiose strides against beasts and titans, but with the poignant heartbeat of friendship, the timeless theme that wrings empathy from even the most cynical observer. Just as fascinating are the whimsical measures of humor scattered throughout this mythic landscape. Take the story of Dumazid, the shepherd king, whom historians still argue over whether his character truly existed or represents an archetype of royal divinity tempered by earthy missteps. Among tales of his leap from shepherd's crook to ruling throne, emerge notes of surprisingly relatable muddle, such as confusing an offering of sheep's wool for a deity's presence in a dream, to unexpected and comical results in courtly etiquette, as celestial and temporal align sometimes at the oddest of angles. In these tales, divine quirks find homes amid grandeur, a god enamored by the aroma of barbecued sacrificial lambs, or the epic mix-up involving two minor deities getting caught in a celestial debate over a mortal's haircut. Such stories imbue the heaviness of mortal interactions with the light-footed grace of cosmic absurditia, gentle reminder of the unpredictable bonds shared by mortal and God. And it's not just leisurely myths. Stories of fierce battles between neighboring states also find their way into epic lore, polished over time with embellishments that blazon the imagination. Imagine rival kings dueling in ceremonial attire, with richly embroidered descriptions raising unexpected brawls to artful contests that leave onlookers transfixed where truth lies artful and elusive. As the sun climbs higher, the marketplace thrums with energy. The warm air holds brief echoes of tales delicate as morning mist. These legendary narratives endure not only as entertainment but teaching tools, cultural connectives that draw together the disparate threads of creativity binding Sumer's cities into shared consciousness. Stepping beyond the enthralling tales, your heart resonates with the gentle harmony of myth, an unending ballet of remembrance and revelation. The legacy of Sumerian storytelling continues to ripple through time, etching crystalline outlines upon which modern sagas rest, a reminder that amid the ordinary rhythms of time flow extraordinary fantasies. As the day's activities stir anew, casting shadows tinged with the glow of mythological emblems, you find yourself gently released from the fabric of these stories. The myths linger, woven deeply into your thoughts, instilling a belief in the power of narrative and the universal themes connecting humanity through ages past and present. Looking back at the colorful tapestry of tall tales, you carry with you the wonder of Sumerian stories, an infinite wellspring where reality and imagination blend seamlessly, leaving behind a lasting impression across the tricky sands of time. It is here, within these stories, that we uncover the timeless compass of human curiosity, laughter, and life's enthralling intricacies whispered between dark and dawn. As the sun reaches its zenith in the clear Sumerian sky, your path leads you to the vibrant arteries of commerce and competition, the trade routes turned tense. Here, on these ancient highways and waterways, the promise of wealth and the whisper of conflict intertwine, composing a symphony of prosperity mingled with territorial tension. Imagine yourself on the dusty trail of a caravan, its long line of camels swaying under the burden of exotic treasures. The air is alive with the scent of spice, cinnamon, myrrh, and frankincense, each representing a city, state's stake in a complex web of trade networks that span realms both familiar and foreign. Merchants haggle with enthusiasm over shimmering textiles and precious metals in the cool shade of colorful awnings, their laughter and shouts forming a backdrop to the thrum of commerce that defines these bustling routes. The Sumerians, visionary as ever, recognized early on the potential of these trade routes as veins through which wealth and ideas flowed. A mainstream historical fact highlights the significance of these pathways not only for economic sustenance, but cultural exchange, making these arteries vital conduits for intellectual and artistic enrichment across boundaries. Yet, for all its civility, the world of trade carries an undercurrent of peril, where alliances can quickly turn to rivalry. Historians still argue whether the friction along these trade routes was inherently inevitable given the varying interests of the city-states, or a product of human nature magnified under the weight of prosperity and ambition. Such questions twist alluringly through the corridors of trade history, hinting at the layered dynamics of intercity engagements. The quirkier side of this commercial journey sometimes surfaces in tales of mistaken identities and unexpected clashes, as tense standoffs arise from trivial misunderstandings or adventurous misdeeds. Picture a scene in which a shipment of cedar wood from Lebanon, intended as a gift to bolster relations, goes missing only to be discovered decorating the home of a rival merchant, Princian all-too-human error, setting the stage for both humor and indignation. While the spice routes weave intimate stories, bidding abroad to wondrous lands, the maritime enterprises unfold a robust chapter of seafaring encounters and escapades. Look beyond the shimmering waves, and you may spot Sumerian traders steering their goods along the perilous Persian Gulf, to and from the enigmatic lands of the Dilmuna place of prosperity, though also shadowed in legend. Imagine the scene. Ships with high prows cutting through azure waters, laden with the secrets of distant lands, their hulls creaking under the weight of copper, ivory, and silks. Mariners, sun-kissed and wary, exchange tales of maritime, daring over light-hearted songs, an enduring testament to human resilience, braving a horizon that ever enticed and intrigued. Among these adventurous exchanges, picture an amusing spectacle of temporary alliances gone awry, competitive merchant elites, mistaking a fleet of fishermen for a hostile armada. It's a moment demanding quick apologies over shared jest and improvised bonding banquets at anchor, delightful interludes in an otherwise lucrative endeavor. As dusk falls gently upon the traders' paths, casting long shadows over well-trodden trails and forgotten ports, the glorious sunset bathes this world in hues of amber and gold. The day's hustle recedes into a tranquil shared kinship between merchant and mariner alike, as tales of trade and tension spill softly into the calm evening air. In thoughts, you linger, holding the knowledge that these avenues of commerce shape destinies beyond material prosperity, forging a legacy woven into art, culture, and the inexhaustible desire for connection itself, a boundless and transcendent venture carried through voices and verses, spanning continents and centuries. With the stars emerging, guiding points across a canvas-domed sky, you find your steps lead naturally away from the lively buzz of trade and toward the more shadowed reaches of your journey. Each sense tingles with the freshly trodden tales and resonance of trade-filled adventuressa, resonant encore that calls to mind not just the riches, but the rigors that shaped and reshaped an enduring civilization far ahead of its time. Pausing to glance back one last time at the pathways now shaded by night's embrace, you carry with you the timeless lessons of commerce and conflict interwoven with humor enduring echoes of a Sumer that mastered both the art of negotiation and the complexities of human interaction, lessons enlightening even today's world, graced by celestial light. As the night unfolds its starry expanse, you embark upon a journey through the enigmatic domain of stargazing strata and cosmic claims. Here, under the watchful gaze of celestial bodies, Sumerian city-states seek clues to their destinies, woven in the vast tapestry of the night sky. As you peer upwards, the quiet brilliance of stars against the midnight canvas serves as both guide and enigma, inviting you to ponder the mysteries and musings of ancient astronomers. Imagine standing among a group of Sumerian stargazers atop a ziggurat, the cool night air brimming with whispered awe and expectation. The faint scent of burning pitch wafts upward from torches, lining the temple staircases, mingling with the deeper aromas of night-blooming flowers. These celestial seekers, with their intricately decorated robes, scan the heavens with a keen eye, seeking patterns in the vastness above. The Sumerians, ever innovative, were among the first to chart the skies and map celestial phenomena. This mainstream historical fact underscores their pioneering efforts in astronomia discipline, forever intertwined with spirituality and governance. Their observations lent credibility to decisions made on Earth, as movements of the planets and constellations were believed to dictate the fates of kings and cities alike. But in this world of cosmic intrigue, quirks abound. Imagine a particularly eager astronomer misinterpreting a shooting star as a celestial sign auguring imminent victory in a local skirmish, only for the sky-born omen to turn into a humorous reminder of nature's unpredictability. Oh, the bewildered laughter filling council chambers the next day, when rival emissaries presented unwitting signs of peace instead. Historians still argue about how much influence these celestial observations had on political decisions and military strategies. The mysteries of the night sky offered fertile ground for both reasoned debate and the pantheon's poetic licentious duality that adds layers of whimsical charm to these cosmic claims. Picture a rivalry not on land, but among the stars. Consider the city-state of Uruk seeking confirmation of dominance from Inanna, goddess of love and war, through a vivid astral alignment, while neighboring Lagash enviously claims its superior standing indicated by the temporary prominence of Enlil's constellation. Oh, how divine whispers tickled the heightened ambitions of those bound to Earth. Just like the celestial panoramas that adorned them, observatories and their curators formed constellations in the landscape of Sumer. Within the hallowed stone chambers of such gathering places, knowledge sparked and flickered like fireflies, illuminating an understanding of a universe that moved with both marvel and mischief. Amidst the studious communities of astronomers, there lay rooms for both dry debate and unfettered jest. Legend of elaborate ruses orchestrated by heavenly winks abound. Like the instance when star positions appeared to predict a great misfortune, only for the very worried king to later discount a gratifying misplacement of artifacts by mischievous students as divine pranking. A celestial eyesore turned celestial play, blending laughter and embarrassment under God-kissed skies. And yet, for all the caprice of cosmic interplay, these astronomers personified both the boldness to question and the humility to learn, underpinning their society's discourse with insights as expansive as time's own span. They mirrored the heavens they charted, leaving behind them legacies of innovation and inquiry. As you step away from the ziggurat's summit, the sky remains a commanding presence, its starry expanse, threading the vast gulf of time connecting Sumer's aspirational orbit with your own musings. The night sky watches, as it always has, a colossal theater where ancient dreams take shape beneath Sumer's serene heavens, embracing that infinite dance of stars. Guided by the celestial map drawn in your mind's eye, the time-honored dance of luminosity invites you onwards, a reminder of how the cosmos once held sway over even these earliest souls. And though epochs spin ceaselessly, the eternal stargazers of Sumer occupy an exalted plane, their legacies illuminating a vivid past, filled with a wondrous understanding we continue to explore even now. As dusk yields to the flow of memory, you take with you the enduring echoes of those who sought wisdom, beneath Sumerian skies wisdom, framed by the celestial artistry of a boundless universe in cosmic accord with the earth it watches. As you venture further into the nuanced world of the Sumerians, the realm of divine divinations and destiny unfolds before you, a place where the veil between the mundane and the mystical is but a thin whisper of smoke, forever swayed by the breath of the gods. In a society where the divine dictates the rhythms of life, prophecies and omens become threads in the tapestry of human decision and destiny. Picture yourself standing within the hallowed halls of a Sumerian temple, its stone walls woven with shadow and soft echoes of whispers, where rituals are performed under the gentle flicker of oil lamps. The air is thick with the aromas of incense, frankincense, and myrrh curling through the delicate weave of tapestry curtains adorned with images of celestial beings. This sacred space is an altar to both faith and foresight, where priests and priestesses look to the divine for guidance, interpreting the will of gods through symbols, liver omens, and cosmogonic poems. In this world, the divine is not a distant observer, but an active participant in the weave of daily life. Historians still argue whether divine interventions and prophecies were genuinely heeded or primarily served as convenient endorsements for earthly agendas. Nonetheless, the mystical rituals and sacred rites present opportunities for both profound insights and moments of whimsical interpretation. Imagine the delicate art of hepatoscopy, where priests examine the liver of a sacrificial animal, each groove and contour revealing coded messages from the divine. The priests, silhouetted against torchlight, murmur sacred chants as their fingers trace lines of fate, invisible to untrained eyes. Here, within the contours of a freshly exposed organ, lie forewarnings of drought, foreshadowings of war, and prophecies of prosperity, delivered through murky and occasionally misinterpreted syncsa comically unpredictable interface with the celestial. Among the numerous divine enigmas, eccentric tidbits emerge. The priest who, rumored to have misread a fateful omen, sparked an entire expedition into the sea to find a fabled pearl only to return humbled yet unharmed, with a conch shell and a reed flute bearing dulcet apologies from Neptune's imaginary court. Oh, the wry smiles atop the ziggurats as he recounted his fishtail leading to temple laughter and musical evening serenades. In broader societal roles, these divinations are woven into the very fabric of decision-making, where celestial phenomena, like eclipses and comets, spark consultations leading to decisions as grand as the coronation of kings or the declaration of war. The mainstream historical fact highlights how these mystical edicts often served as moral imperatives, guiding decisions with the authority of celestial mandate. Consider the impulsive king who sought divine counsel before embarking on a campaign, only to be urged by the constellation's whimsy to feast rather than fight. Its tenderness and whimsy, intermingling against a whirlwind sky, reminding humanity of the perspective found in turning moments of possible war into community gatherings under an amethyst sky. And yet, within this spiritual symphony, there's the humor and humility of those seeking the stars' counsel. Picture a celestial farce unfolding, as a fretful ruler misinterprets the alignment of Mars as favoring rashness, instigating a party so grand that even rival emissaries joined the festive truce under the temple's watchful gaze. Thus, divine perspectives sometimes brought laughter where spurs of conflict might roam. The rituals conducted, the tales interpreted, they form a cosmic dialogue between humanity and higher powers, at times revealing the timeless comedy of miscommunication as desires, fears, and hope circle in celestial orbit. As dawn's first touch colors the skyline, the divine chorus fades, having imparted its solemn and merry truths. The temple settles back into quietude, a repository of cosmic whispers, waiting for the next seeker of celestial insight to uncover its treasured prognostications. Stepping away with lightness in your stride, your mind swirls with stories and symbols, timeless markers of a civilization that danced nimbly between the earthly realm and the celestial stage. You carry with you the realization that, wherever people search the heavens, both guidance and mirth may be found an eternal bond between earthly travails and the encompassing sky. Wandering on, with the echoes of ancient rites lifting on the breeze, you marvel at the patterns stargazers still seek in the vault above. Beneath it, the enduring power of prophecy hums softly with laughter against the eternal sweep of Starsa's celestial compass, guiding humanity through the corridors of time, weaving destiny's spiral with tender, timeless familiarity. As dawn paints the Sumerian skies with soft hues of gold and rose, you find yourself drawn into the realm of cunning diplomats and deceptive treaties. Here, amid the whispers of parchment and the clinking of clay tablets, the art of diplomacy unfolds a delicate dance of promise and pretense, where every word is a potential weapon and every alliance a puzzle waiting to unravel. Picture yourself in the grand hall of an ancient city palace, where diplomats gather in congenial clusters. The air hums with a peculiar blend of formality and the scent of finely crushed herbs, lavender and sage, meant to soothe frazzled nerves. Stone-carved columns cast long shadows over the bustling scene as delegates from various city-states exchange greetings, each seeking to turn the tide of political fortune to their advantage. In Sumer, the crafting of treaties is a high art, underscored by a mainstream historical fact. These agreements often served as temporary salves to deeper feuds, their words etched in clay as both a testament to human cooperation and as stepping stones toward eventual betrayals. Diplomats wield words with precision, shaping peace and provocation in the same breath, all under the watchful eyes of kings whose ambitions dance to the peacemaker's tune. Imagining the subtleties at play, you might envision a diplomatic envoy presenting a treaty scroll with an air of confidence, only for the fine print to reveal cleverly concealed clauses, much like an ancient version of double-check your terms and conditions. As quills and tablets trade sly interpretations, a veneer of polite civility glosses over the undercurrents of subtle strategy, leaving ample room for humor. Amidst the cleverly crafted promises and crafted facades, it's not uncommon for alliances to be brokered and broken with amusing consequence. Picture two ambassadors enthusiastically sealing a pact over shared reciprocal wedding vows of their pet donkeys, only to have the beasts wander off mid-ceremony, leading to hastily reconciled testaments and even heartier laughter with mutual misunderstandings. Historians still argue whether these treaties were genuine attempts at forging lasting peace or merely tools of manipulation cloaked in the guise of cooperation. Such questions add layers of intrigue to the diplomatic maneuvers twisting through Sumerian history crafted by those who recognize the power of perception in shifts of power and prosperity. Imagine the peculiar appearance of clandestine emissaries attending a crucial negotiation under the pretense of an olive harvest festival, never even bothering to lay bare the olives. Both sides exchange knowing nods as they navigate the tenuous lines between camaraderie and competition, sprinkled with shared jokes and friendlier trials. The quirkier aspects of diplomacy reveal themselves in tales of cross-city gatherings boiled into triumphant declarations, only for rivals to tumble into laughter over needs never agreeing, like a great feast where banquets and plans emerge with missteps galore, celebratory toasts echoing amid accidental alliances. Within this world of attentive dialogue and maneuvers and verbal gyrations, there lies a certain playful rhythm of expectancy, a nod to humanity's endless search for understanding without unraveling the precarious web. It's these light-hearted negotiations, punctuated by diplomatic wits, sometimes sharper than swords, that allure us with humanity's honest pursuits. As the sun clears the horizon, washing over the halls and courtyards with its calming glow, you take a step back and appreciate the dance of diplomacy, a balancing act crafted by adroit minds, trained to juggle eagerness and whims with gravity and gravitas. Walking away, your thoughts linger on the legacy of Sumer's diplomatic craftsmanship, a dance of intricate pattern and lightness that echoes across time with its endless tales of human ingenuity and the willful smile of camaraderie only known. Their lessons are gentler than the cacophony of war and bespeak cleverly honed intent. With each glance back at the palace's retreats, you marvel at these tales of wily dialogue's lingering notes within your imagination of an art that marries sincerity and subterfuge, leaving a twinkle in the eyes of those still celebrating in spirit. The art of balance and the ebb and flow of negotiations holding sway once more as you continue, this diplomat's journey singing its still melodies to wherever the threads of fate might guide you next. Inwardly, you ponder the timeless dance between earnestness and jest that courses through the weave of human history, holding within it the promise of both solemnity and satire amid the endless currents of human ambition, written soundless against the lute sound of tilting stars above. As the midday sun casts warm, golden rays over the bustling cities of Sumer, you wander into a realm shadowed by an enduring challenge plagues in the ranks. Here, in the heart of civilization where armies march and cities flourish, unseen adversaries lurk, a reminder that the mightiest warriors often face foes beyond the battlefield. Imagine the vibrant scene of a Sumerian encampment, where soldiers clad in tunics and armor gather around flickering campfires. The air is thick with the scent of roasted game mingling with the dust, stirred up by boots marching to distant destinations. Yet, beneath the outward hustle and preparation, a silent threat hovers, a spectral presence that influences fate as tangibly as any spear or sword. In the age of Sumer, plagues and diseases were a daily threat, often sweeping through densely populated areas with little warning, weakening armies and challenging city-states. A mainstream historical fact reveals that these periods of illness could dramatically shift the balance of power, as weakened forces struggled not against rival troops, but against the unseen scourge of pestilence. Historians still argue over how these epidemics were understood by the Sumerians. Was illness viewed purely as a manifestation of divine disfavor, or did the ancient medics begin to recognize patterns, hinting at rudimentary theories of contagion? What is certain is that each outbreak left behind stories of resilience, dotted with breaks of unexpected light relief amid dark times. Imagine the scene: a group of weary soldiers gather around a healer, desperate for relief. The healer, with bowls of herbs and poultices, attempts to stave off the malaise with a hopeful balance of ritual and remedy. Temple musicians play softly in the background, hoping to soothe spirits and lift morale. A practice as much about mending minds as bodies. Among these solemn corridors of affliction, tales of ingenuity and improvisation abound. Picture the amusing anecdote of a well-meaning commander mistaking the cause of malaria for marsh-dwelling sprites, leading his troops in a spirited campaign of festive pageantry to appease these supposed agitators. The intent is sincere, if slightly misplaced, striking both levity and retrospective tenderness within the human saga. Despite the challenges plagues imposed, there was room for the unexpected kindness and bravery that often emerged in crisis. Imagine communities binding together as volunteers rise to assist those stricken, sharing scarce resources, and weaving a tapestry of resilience that tempers the epidemic with humanity's stronger, softer side. And there are moments of cheeky ingenuity as a wily apothecary unveils a miracle cure purportedly derived from exotic plants only, for it to consist of sugared grains meant to sweeten spirits rather than actually cure ailments. These flashes of humor do what they can to break through the tension and turn hardship into stories of triumph laced with gentle humor. Meanwhile, beyond the cities and their barricades against marauding tribesmen, the lives of ordinary Sumerians continue with cautious optimism, attuned to the cycles of life and the occasional cosmic jest played amidst earthly chaos. Even in times of plague, trade routes hum with resilient exchange. Pottery and textiles never fully cease among market stalls lit by midday's glow. As you step back from the vivid memories of ancient contagions, the pressing presence of a crisis woven together by myths and missteps reminds you of the enduring spirit that marks these indomitable people. There's solace in the knowledge that resilience echoes, through laughter rolling like a heathen breeze, a gentle tapestry woven of merriment amidst hardship. Turning away, The memories of these ancient conflicts against unseen foes give perspective, a reminder that throughout history, humanity's fight against disease is as much a testament to perseverance as glory in battle. As the echoes of drums and flutes drift across the horizon, the desire to seek strength through unity remains a constant call resonating across the epics. Continue now, a gentle rain of empathy falling within your heart, as you step into the next chapter of the Sumerian Odyssey, carrying with you a newfound reverence for an ancient people's ability to laugh amid danger, seek solace in camaraderie, and balance hope upon the teetering scales of uncertainty. With steps forward, you feel a twinkle of time's shared jest ripple gently above, in efforts woven into humanity's timeless dance of becoming. As the golden light of the sun filters through the palms and reeds lining the banks of Sumer, you meander through the prosperous realm of rivers of riches and rivalry. It's here, along the shimmering courses of the Tigris and Euphrates, that the lifeblood of ancient city-states flows, where the natural abundance of water shapes the contours of existence and competition in equal measure. Picture yourself standing upon the banks of these mighty rivers, their currents eddying and shifting beneath the soft reflection of the sky. The air is delightfully cool, imbued with the scent of fresh water laced subtly with the sweet aroma of damp earth. Boats drift lazily by, piled high with goods clay jars filled with olive oil, bundled reeds for construction, and baskets teeming with grain bound for markets both near and far. These rivers, divine gifts to Sumer, were the arteries along which trade and culture flowed, forms the mainstream historical fact. They transformed arid lands into fertile fields that sustained cities and channeled wealth to empower mighty kings and splendid temples. The Tigris and Euphrates, ever moving, became both the literal and symbolic veins of Sumerian prosperity. Yet the rivers, with their boundless potential, have a capricious temperament, creating rivalry as much as they sustain life. Historians still argue whether the water rights and canal systems served as more effective tools for diplomacy or catalysts for conflict between states. However, the rivalry entwined with required cooperation paints an enduring picture of shared ambition. Imagine the cheeky scenario of rival city-states attempting to divert water flows to their advantage, engaging in hydrological sabotage with tactics unheard of in traditional warfare. A dam hastily erected by moonlight, a canal swiftly redirected as soldiers played amphibious guardians of redirected bounty. Here, the battles fought on papyrus scrolls were every bit as intricate as those waged by spears and swords. The quirkiness of water confrontation finds delightful resonance in tales of everyday folk caught between warring neighbors. Picture the well-intentioned farmer, bewildered to find his fields flooded with more water than the skies could deliver, leading him to consult a local soothsayer who, with theatrical flourish, suggests his farm's sudden abundance might indicate approval by river gods. Amid the murmur of flowing waters, villages perch contentedly upon riverbanks, thriving upon the labors of fishers and ferrisers. Picture families gathering to break bread on the banks, the shadow of fish darting through clear depths as gossip and laughter ripple soft across the rolling wavelets. For even amid adversity, these gatherings small, resilient, anchored to timeless accounts, hold tightly to life's simple richness. The river's role as both nurturer and nemesis is captured charmingly in tales involving imaginative solutions devised by inspired engineers to harness its swell. Consider the tale of multiple city-state draftsmen conferring by shaded groves, sketching rudimentary water wheels with hopes of lifting river currents into holding ponds. Ingenious, albeit occasionally flawed engineering combining pragmatic dreams with imaginative risk. As the gentle ripple of water continues its eternal path, the connection between river and land reveals the chuckle and sigh exchanged between opposites, weaving an intricate dance, the border of which plays out in Benoic competition and shared sustenance across the multi-hued thread of shadow-pierced time. The sun's golden glow slowly narrows to twilight's garment, making way for a seamless ballet of sky's retreat. Underneath the stars, The rivers continue their ceaseless flowing age-old orchestra binding past to future. The Tigris and Euphrates note how their intimate embrace of the land song's civilization's lullaby. With the reddish hue of final daylight bathing the water's gentle embrace, you step away, feeling that quenching of spirit where laughter gurgles gently beside the fierce pull of rivalry. You carry forward threads of hope and purpose, woven together within the current's joyous matrix with quiet fortitude, a delicate wander where humanity learns from nature's slow freedom and downward depths, knowing the rivers will flow ever onward, shaping histories as they nourish dreams. The sound of those stretching boundaries across lands between lands remains a potent symphony. With each step, the quietly spirited adventure echoes in thoughtful shimmers and reflective winks upon the liquid league of emerald and jade, entwining through an age-old corridor. A final glance reveals your passage, humility clothed in nature's refined resilience, a ripe testament to human aspiration blessed beneath an azure sphere. The brief shimmer speaks as old water spirits rippling in bubbles of subtle grins, and loving reminders mingled from the dawn-stroked river of threads. Annealing gold dances and reflects ever further into the night. The kindred flow, light-laden, embraces the winding journey homeward, an eternal return, weaving adoration and ambition reverenced through these honored ripples' timeless play. As twilight descends upon the Sumerian landscape, you wander into the fascinating realm of the march of the indigenous mercenaries. Here, the rhythm of tribal drums echoes through the nights, marking the presence of formidable allies and wildcards in the complex tapestry of interconnected city-states. Picture the vibrant encampments that spring up like mushrooms after a rain, each one a kaleidoscope of colorful tents and flickering campfires. The air is alive with the scent of roasted meat and the spicy tang of foreign herbs, while the sound of laughter and storytelling mingles with the sharp clang of weapons being polished and prepared for the next day's endeavors. It's a lively world, teeming with the curiosity of mercenaries drawn from diverse tribes and lands beyond the immediate reach of the city-states. In the Sumerian cities, indigenous mercenaries are both a boon and a brink, unique forces to be reckoned with in the dance of power and politics. A mainstream historical fact testifies to their pivotal role in supplementing military strength, bringing with them skills and tactics honed far from the boundaries of urban life. These warriors, habited in an array of traditional garb and weaponry, move between worlds like shadows, their allegiances as fluid as the Tigris and Euphrates themselves. Historians still argue whether these tribes turned mercenaries were driven by genuine alliance or merely by the enticing allure of treasure and adventure. In either case, their presence adds an element of unpredictability, injecting both vigor and vivacity into the military maneuvers of Sumer. Among these groups are the nomads and neighboring tribes, each bringing a distinctive flair to their martial prowess. Imagine the awe of a city-state commander observing a group of swift-footed horsemen from the eastern plateaus, their steeds draped in intricate regalia, thundering across the open plains. The power and grace displayed serve as a stark reminder that these allies, wild in spirit and strong in arms, command the same respect afforded to seasoned city warriors. Yet, alongside their martial prowess, lies a whimsical fringe of brought humor and levity. Picture the chaotic scene when two entirely different groups own remnant of seafaring raiders, the other skilled archers from the mountain Saddam, to exchange tactical advice, only to discover neither speaks a word of the other's dialect. The ensuing pantomime is an unexpected projection of international cross-communication, drawing mirth and camaraderie from the disparate yet allied laughter that follows. A quirky tidbit to savor is the curious custom of consuming ritualistic meals together, a practice meant to cement loyalty and foster fellowship among city-state denizens and mercenaries alike. Imagine a communal feast, laid out under starlight, where musicians play haunting melodies on reed pipes, while warriors and civilians alike exchange tales and toasts to companionship and conquest. As you wander through the multifaceted world of mercenary life, note the subtle savagery tempered by shared purpose and determination, a poignant dance that sometimes veers off into fortuitous or humor-infused outcomes. Whether through competitive javelin throws at campfires or the comedic spectacle of language mishaps during strategic briefings, the vibrant pulse of life amid these alliances beats loudly beneath the desert stars. With every step back from the mercenary camps, you carry with you the echoes of drums, laughter, and the cries of warriors weaving themselves into the stories of Sumer. It is a world defined by its fluidity and flourishing, where the heartbeats of many tribes blend into a singular rhythm that echoes both transcendent resilience and humanity's joyful imperfections. As the dusky twilight turns to night, the shifting shadows of these transient warriors blend into the deeper tapestry of Sumer's legacy. Their contributions, both tangible and cultural, remain imprinted upon the shifting sands-rich threads woven into the ancient narratives of those who rise in quests, magnified by human spirit and bound by the timeless dance of loyalty and longing. Turning from these lively encampments, you ponder the persistent connections humans forge, sewn from diverse backgrounds, prior experiences, and unified dreams. With these animated tales, added now to your journey, you move forward through the night's quietude, armed with stories of camaraderie and conquest, destined to resonate throughout the eons, carried forth by the wandering winds that forever whisper myths unyielding in their vividness and valor. As night settles over the Sumerian plains, a gentle breeze carries you into the unexpected realm of leisurely days at the warfront. Here, amidst the tense anticipation of conflict, you witness soldiers grasp moments of respite, weaving them into a tapestry of camaraderie and everyday life that softens the harsh edges of war. Imagine the Sumerian army's encampment, a sprawling sea of tents and firelight under the vast, starlit sky. The air is cooled by the night's embrace, tinged with the earthy aroma of distant fires and the inviting scent of bread baking on heated stones. Within these temporary abodes, you find warriors shedding their martial demeanor, gathering around fires to share stories, laughter, and the comforts of home. In this world, leisure alongside battle presents a rich contrast. A mainstream historical fact emerges as soldiers, when not honing their fighting skills, bond over tales of valor and folly, forming deep friendships that transcend the boundaries of city-states. These stories, carried from one fire to the next, create an intricate web of shared humanity that persists against the backdrop of clashing swords and shifting allegiances. During these intervals of calm, the Sumerians engage in simple, pleasure-friendly contest of wrestling on the soft earth, songs accompanied by the hesitant notes of a stringed instrument, or the indulgence in delightful culinary experiments conjured from accessible camp provisions. Imagine the scene as two soldiers humorously attempt to outgrill each other with their modest forage spoils, attracting a growing crowd of amused onlookers who cheer them on with friendly jibes. But it's not all sport and speculation. Within the folds of leisure lies the opportunity for profound reflection. Picture a warrior gazing thoughtfully at the flickering flames, his mind a world away as he contemplates the mysteries of the universe, bonds forged, and the unknown paths that lie ahead. Such thoughtful interludes transform even fierce soldiers into philosophers, pondering the eternal dance between life and destiny. Historians still debate whether these peaceful moments truly served any strategic purpose or were simply a means to preserve morale among troops. Regardless, they offer a fascinating glimpse into the softer side of warfare, a cadence of human warmth and connection amid the chaos that characterized Sumerian life. Out of this relaxing backdrop arises a host of quirky tales, such as the image of soldiers assembling improvised fashion shows, from scavenged attire, silly but cherished diversion that adds levity to otherwise mundane duties. Imagine delighted guffaws echoing across the camp as burly warriors attempt balletic curtsies in repurposed textiles for an audience of appreciative comrades. With each nurturing pause, the warriors recalibrate, rejuvenating their spirits with the full range of emotions and experiences that these precious moments of leisure afford. As company and community solace them, refresh their thoughts and perspectives, and soothe their souls, they find the strength to face the uncertainties of the coming dawn. As you withdraw from the camp, the melodies of laughter and song gently erode the night's tension like the continuous caress of tides shaping distant shores. You carry with you a profound respect for the tapestry of life stitched between battles of vibrant, multi-hued garment that embraces not just triumph or tragedy, but a touch of vividly recalled comfort along the way. With the stories from these camps in tow, you step beyond the flickering glow of the campfires into the vast desert night, leaving behind a world that vivifies the interplay of quiet repose amidst strife, timeless tribute to the human spirit that laughs and dreams, daring to dream of daylight no matter the shadows drawn just beyond the horizon. In this tapestry of Sumerian tales, woven by both valor and whimsy, you find echoes of human resilience and peaceful pauses, refreshing springs amid dry winds, offering knowledge of connection and respite. Stories linger as vivid dreams beneath starlight, echoing endlessly until they settle as whispered bonds across a world ceaselessly spinning onward. As dawn stretches its luminous fingers across the horizon, casting the world in a warm golden glow, you wander into the peculiar realm of the Siege of Silliness. Here, in the midst of serious military campaigns, the comical and the curious emerge from the woodwork, crafting tales that soften the harsh realities of warfare with unexpected whimsy. Imagine the scene. Towering siege walls embrace the fortified cities, their shadows stretching long across the landscape. The air is heavy with the musky scent of damp earth and livestock, mingled occasionally with the sharper, metallic tang of armaments awaiting their turn under the sun. Siege warfare, traditionally marked by patience and perseverance, offers a unique stage where the bizarre and whimsical occasionally steal the limelight. In the history books, sieges are seen as formidable events. A mainstream historical fact unveils their reputation for lengthy and grueling standoffs. City-states and their warriors, faced with the realities of prolonged campaigns, turn to new strategies and creative exploits to break the monotony and, occasionally, each other's resolve. Imagine, for instance, the cheeky scheme of a besieged city, launching not just arrows but pots of honey at their adversaries, hoping sticky sweetness might disrupt footing or coerce a truce through bemusement. The unintended result? A delighted swarm of bees swarming upon the fields, inciting hilarity rather than havoc, as both sides pause to fend off buzzing adversaries more tenacious than any foot soldier. Historians still argue whether such tactics were consciously strategic or born of desperate imagination, a testament to human ingenuity or folly, albeit wrapped in humor's delightful guise. Whether outmaneuvering opponents or simply sparking shared laughter across the battleground, these eccentric moments highlight the full depth of human creativity under duress. Amid the peculiarities of siege, a quirky tidbit involves the creation of elaborate, albeit unnecessary, contraptions. Picture the ranks of soldiers test developing an oversized wooden badger modeled, less for stealth entry, more for battlefield theatrics. Amid chuckles and cheers, introductions were issued on odd fourth nights, leaving opposing sides to question whether the clumsy badger provoked a counter-movement or a startled tip of the helmet in genuine tribute to their show-stealing timber menagerie. In the relative pauses between such left-field volleys, moments of sheer, mutual humanity arise. Picture, if you will, a troupe of resourceful cooks within the besieged city, organizing an impromptu, chili cook-off to buoy spirits, challenging their counterparts on the outside through insult best left to meat pies tastes or unintended gastronomic explosions, a melodious cacophony of welcome divergence. As these sieges meander between the sharpness of reality and the farcical edges of imagination, they chime with a resonance akin to the poet's unsturdy penmanship, living boldly with lessons of camaraderie and the benevolent improvisation that stitches warriors' moments of clarity and community. As night descends and the flicker of firelight softens the siege walls with the caress of shadow, those unique stories weave into the nightingale's song to be sung to generations, harmonious twins of living symmetry. You step beyond these campfires, cradling the legacy of dreams reconciled with daftness, and wisdom lodged comically within earnest hopes. Looking back upon the silhouette of beleaguered ramparts and fire-framed turrets, you carry forward a story-tattered map showing paths brightened and eased by laughter born in humor. The pulse of this journey guides you to further tales, generations still daring in unity, threading down new roads touched by whims, courage, and gentle kindness in leagues of sunlit destinations, met by the time-marked kiss of familiar embers. In every vibration of warm acknowledgement, whispered as much by bards as soldiers, you find humanity's strength evolving wherever the lightness of heart sways, bringing tales of the absurd into the lucid crevices of struggle, surrendering folly with pride and playful verse to whatever front each day delivers fluent, adept, tender in twilight rhythm, as stars entwine ever aglow in their delight. As dusk gives way to the tranquil embrace of night, your steps lead you to the solemn yet intriguing domain of riddles in ruins and relics. Here, the remnants of past civilizations whisper tales of forgotten times, inviting you to unearth the secrets buried within their silent, crumbled walls. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast archaeological site, the ground beneath your feet uneven and dusty from eons of time. The air around you is filled with a dry, earthy scent, mingling with the coolness of an evening breeze. Broken pottery shards glint faintly in the moonlight, and the shadows of ancient walls stretch long across the landscape, a spectral dance of history and mystery, caught between decay and discovery. These ruins, once bustling hubs of civilization, now hold the key to understanding the Sumerian world. A mainstream historical fact reveals how excavation of such sites has provided invaluable insights into Sumer's society, economy, and culture, as well as glimpses into the daily life of the ordinary people who lived, loved, and labored within their strongholds. Each stone, each artifact, tells a story of the people who touched it long ago. As you explore these remnants of grand cities, an open scholarly debate surfaces. Historians still argue about the exact purpose of certain structures, the nature of early city planning, or the intricate designs etched onto clay tablets. Were they purely functional, or did they embody deeper spiritual or cultural significance? These questions tease the inquisitive mind, turning the stones into riddles, their answers tantalizingly elusive and open to interpretation. In the pursuit of these stories, the quirky side of discovery unfolds. Picture a team of archaeologists stumbling upon a seemingly ordinary clay tablet, only to discern that it contains the world's oldest known jokea humorous quip involving a dog, a pot, and questionable etiquette that still draws amused smiles millennia later. It's a delightful reminder that humor is as old as time, transcending boundaries and resonating even amidst the ruins of forgotten eras. Roaming these sites, you're enchanted by relics' tales, interspersed with the whimsy of ancient life's playful art. Imagine the excitement of uncovering a beautifully crafted statuette of a goddess, complete with delicate detailing that suggests her role in not just worship but everyday inspiration. Symbols and signs etched in stone, copper tools, or fragments of a beloved children's game all whisper the continuity of life, a patchwork quilt of creativity and legacy. As you dig deeper into the bowels of history, envision the scholars and students huddled over relics by lamplight, puzzled over the meaning of peculiar inscriptions, debating frenzied hypotheses punctuated by bursts of laughter and eureka moments alike. The camaraderie amongst those who unravel history's secrets forges a discreet yet impactful community, passionate about piecing the puzzle of the past together from the patches left behind. Standing amid these ruins, you feel the weight of history's Gazian intricate mosaic of human triumph and frailty, bottled in the remnants of cities that once spoke power beyond present comprehension. Yet, amid gravitas emerges a spectrum's lighter snap a chuckle amid script-filled tablets, written proof of the humor we share with those who walked here once before under old starlight. The night deepens, suffusing the ruins with an otherworldly glow, murmuring its echo to those exploring and contemplating each jagged nook, every contour where relics lie poised to reveal their accounts to those intrepid enough to seek them. Stepping away from these quiet witnesses to time, you carry forward the tales waiting patiently to be unfolded, shaped with wisdom's fondness and amused inferences. Moving on through the star-splashed darkness, you're accompanied by the echoes of this city's former residents and the sturdy intrigue of living puzzles. With each tread upon this vibrant earth, you remember how beautifully absurd life can be, even in history's long shadows. Whispers, hope, and humor propel us beneath gently arcing stars toward ever-burgeoning horizons, just as they always have. As the glow of sunset fades into the cool embrace of darkness, you wander into the domain of scholar-scribes and wartime scribes, a world where ink and clay carve the chronicles of an era. Here, within these solemn sanctuaries and bustling chambers, words become the sculptors of history, shaping the narratives that endure across the ages. Picture yourself in the quiet stone halls of Sumerian libraries and scriptoria. The soft flicker of oil lamps illuminates the scene, casting long shadows over the wooden desks piled with clay tablets and styluses. The air is filled with a faint mustiness, mingling with the scent of fresh reeds and the delicate rustle of parchment. In this space, the scribes, a mix of patient scholars and quick-handed clerks, labor tirelessly, setting the day's events into the lasting embrace of cuneiform. Within Sumer, scribes hold an honored place in society, their work preserving the deeds of kings, the transactions of merchants, and the stories of common folk. A mainstream historical fact underscores their importance as the keepers not only of records but of culture and inventions, capturing the intricacies of daily life with eyes trained to both dataset precision and narrative flair. Yet, among these corridors of literary labor, the whimsical emerges with a knowing grin. Imagine a particularly clever scribe sneaking extra humor into official decrees, their commentary wrapped in metaphors humorous enough to puzzle and delight a ruler or thwart an over-eager tax collector. It's these mischievous flourishes that enliven and endear the annals of history. Historians still argue whether all scribal accounts were unbiased records, or if they sometimes served as propaganda for those in power. This age-old debate turns the simple task of recording into a canvas of subjective interpretation, where fact and fiction dance together to shape the enduring stories of Sumer. Beyond the decorative quirks lie scribe-led narratives from the wartime front, reports from the field bearing battlefield brilliance and bravery cast into clay. Picture the wartime scribes with nimble fingers and weary eyes, seated at the edge of makeshift desks, balancing styluses amid the tumult of a military camp. Between the clang of armor and the laughter-flecked rallying cries, they paint the vivid portrait of wartime reality, leaving behind tales colored by both valor and vulnerability. The march of these scribes through history is paved with stone-heavy tablets, housing hopes and humor within their earthen fold. Consider tales of scribes racing against time, their hands quickening as they capture the essence of backroom diplomacy or decode strategic stratagems, often ending with incidental yet delightful footnotes found only by the keenest historian's eye. Amid the wisdom encoded into tablets, we contemplate their quiet genius, sheltered behind temple walls. Impossibly complex taxonomies emerge from their consecrated desks, lists of provisions and ledgers of debts, scribbled alongside letters of affection or shopping lists, blending banality with the broader life view. Even in times of tumult within bustling city-states, scribes manage to capture affection amid the chaos. A mother's lullaby immortalized softly into clay, or a simple love note, its gentle promise entombed within the fragile bend of dialect. At times, these tangible touches weave through barren fields, resonating with humanity's call into eternity's scrolling pages. As night descends further, wrapping this bastion of knowledge in its gentle shroud, you stand parallel with the figures of scribes past, imaginatively bent over their duties. You see how the casual flourish of their stylus might spin tales prophetic enough to bear an imprint upon history. Turning away from these contemplative chambers, you trace your thoughts through the vast stories preserved by their labor, carrying echoes of human experience towards the horizons ashore and afar. Within every stroke written along with a scribe's steadfast artfulness, memory's essence endures the fragile synthesis of perception and permanence, endlessly reaffirming its place in the ranks of time. Carrying forward from within this quiet bastion, your journey carries with it a cherished reverence for the gentle yet wieldy craft of those who write stories and create cultures, leaving laughter echoing timelessly beyond paper's crumple, rose-colored by reflections glowing against distant stars. You persist, reminded that even through the bold inaccuracies and hearty embellishments of history, a legacy layered by words and musings remains unmatched, leaving readers still entranced by words' greatest legacies known. As the moon gently ascends into the blanket of night, casting silver tendrils across the ancient land, you find yourself amid the coronation of a new order. Here, within the elaborate rituals and shifting alliances, stories of emergent leaders and evolving powers breathe life into the new chapters of Sumerian history. Imagine a great amphitheater of sorts, carved out of the very heart of the city, where the anticipation of a new era hangs heavy in the air. Torches burn brightly, casting flickering shadows across the stone tablets that line the podium, their surfaces etched with the promises of change. The scent of incense drifts gently through the gathering, a fragrant blend of myrrh and cedar enveloping those who witness the birth of this new order. In this vibrant world, the coronation of a new ruler is more than a ceremony. It is the dawn of potential and uncertainty, a shifting of the celestial spheres that govern the earthly realm. A mainstream historical fact is evident in the elaborate rituals and symbols that portray legitimacy and divine favor, bridging the temporal domain with the guidance of the gods. Historians still debate the extent to which these new rulers truly embraced revolutionary change versus adhering to the status quo. Some saw the coronation as a clear mandate for transformation, while others viewed it as cosmetic cleansing but transparent, a veil over ongoing traditions hidden within the facade of sparkling newness. Amid this tapestry of formal proceedings, the quirky emerges in unexpected moments of levity. Picture the spectacle of a crown elaborately fashioned from gold and lapis lazuli momentarily slipping as the new sovereign stands before his subjects. It's an unscripted moment that elicits chuckles among the crowd, revealing the humor nestled within grandeur and reminding all that even kings are humans beneath the regalia. In the shifting dynamics of new leadership, diverse entourages gather: diplomats, merchants, generals, and scholars, each poised within the crowded symposium like pieces on a chessboard, ready to support or counterbalance the nascent aura of authority. The subtle tensions cast light much like the festival lanterns, their delicate silhouettes poised to soothe and spark in perfect measure. Imagine spirited debates and whispered negotiations flowing from banquet tables into intimate alcoves, where alliances are forged and tested, partners found and lost. These hidden exchanges complement the grand statements of the new ruler, supplementing spoken edicts with a quieter virtuosity that paints intrigue across every corner. Amid promises of prosperity and oaths of fidelity, sometimes emerges an impasse teetering on the brink of absurd. Envision a council session where, amid heated proceedings, the delegation discovers the hard truth that their ceasefire agreement is signed using unleavened bread as parchmenta succinct, if questionable, gesture leading to both astonished council members and a warmly celebrated, if unlikely, agreement born of innovation. As the new ruler begins to steer the state, the cultural pulse is awash with both promise and caution. Artists and sculptors immortalize proclamations in relief on temple walls, while poets compose verses capturing the essence of this new dawn. The entirety of Sumer watches an audience whose expectations, dreams, and fears twine together, echoing through performance and position alike. Within this grand unfolding of power, there is room for more than ceremony or solemn discourse. Imagine musicians playing jubilant tunes upon harps, accompanied by the gentle rhythm of hand drums, their melodies lending both solemnity and joy to the ascendant ruler's narrative, the two tempered as laughter and hope sway from crown to compass across moonlit prairies. As dawn approaches, its first glow touching upon the crowned heads, the atmosphere resonates with renewed energy. The rows of glazing spectators begin to disperse, their thoughts and ambitions intertwining with reflections of new governance measured beneath the softening sky. As you depart the scene and step back into the simplicity of the evening, your heart carries a newfound appreciation for the enduring dance of power and possibility. Through elements both grand and subtle, you find a profound connection with the cycles of history driven as much by constancy as by surprising humor nestled within daybreak's welcoming call. With the new ruler's oath hanging lightly in the stillness, your journey onward feels like a vibrant exploration. These tales of vitality, forged in moments unprompted, highlight the traverses of humanity staking its claim across ages, ambitions cradled in starry night, whispers leading always to the new horizon, warmed by nature's embrace. As you carry forth tales from this coronation, your steps lead past intertwining stories, vibrant as dawn's bloom, a reminder of life's shifting dynamics, welcoming on a path marked by gentle comedy, braced with time's perpetual grace. As dawn slowly extends its golden touch across the landscape, you find yourself stepping into the solemn realm of fading echoes in the sands. Here, as the once mighty Sumerian city-states whisper their final tales, the passage of time resonates with the soft, haunting echo of bygone glory. The air is tinged with a sense of melancholic beauty as you wander through the ruins of what were once vibrant centers of progress and innovation. The subtle scent of dust and age intertwines with the gentle desert breeze, carrying with it the whispers of voices long stilled. In the shadow cast by these ancient edifices, the stories of Sumer linger, like gentle ghosts refusing to be forgotten. In this poignant world, the decline of Sumer presents a mainstream historical fact. Environmental changes, coupled with internal strife and external pressures, contributed to the slow, inevitable decline of these formidable city-states. Once bustling with life and ideas, they now stand as solemn testaments to the impermanence of human achievement. Historians still debate the precise causes and timing of Sumer's decline, whether it was sudden or a gradual fade into the annals of history. The theories swirl like the desert sands, weaving together politics, climate change, and the intricate tapestry of alliances and adversaries that defined their heyday. Even amidst this somber reflection, moments of whimsical resilience shine through. Picture archaic scholars, their voices soft with age gathering under the shelter of an old temple's vestibule, animatedly discussing the rise and fall of their beloved civilization and occasionally slipping into bouts of genial laughter. A sip of wine here, a memory shared there, both binding and blurring the line between history and myth. Among the crumbling ruins, imagine stumbling upon the bizarre curiosity of a half-completed statue, its angular form revealing clues to innovations that might have been. Perhaps a likeness of a ruler now lost to time or a deity whose worshippers dwindled with each passing generation. Its stone smile a final note of irony amid fading splendor. A quirky tidbit emerges in the tales of those who sought to preserve, whether by transcription or verbal song, the legacy of Sumer's culture, even as its silent decline unfolded. Imagine scribes determinedly etching records and wise elders recounting lessons and laughter over evenings long, determined to keep the fire of memory burning amid the encroaching shadows of historical twilight. Within these echoes lie stories of stunning innovation literature's birth, the city's dawn, technology's ripple merging with the vivid humanity of laughter and devotion, tales interwoven with the footprints of those who lovingly embraced life's ebbs and flows, even as uncertainty loomed, allowing them moments of gentle humor and deep introspection. As the sun climbs higher, painting the ruins in shades from honeyed gold to soft amber, you sense the indelible mark of those who lived, loved, and laughed amidst these crumbling remnants. The echoes of Sumer resonate with a time-spanning grace, reminding you that influence and memory hold power long after bricks crumble into dust. Walking away from this scene, you carry the stories interwoven with the delicate threads of memory that whisper gently from the ruins' undulating shadows. The sense of continuity, forged in moments of humor and hope, permeates your soul, a reminder of how the past speaks softly, echoing through time's shared fabric with both solemnity and subtle joy. As your journey carries you forward, step by step through traces of time and space, you cherish the wisdom adorned within these sunlit ruins. They beckon others with lessons preserved as fragile tokens between the ages, inviting hearts to savor what has been, with a gentle nudge towards what might become. Glimpsing the horizon stretching ever onward, you feel an abiding connection to the whispers carried on the wind, a companionship that propels you to hold these echoes dear. Treasured knowledge of humanity's cycle forever entwined with warm laughter amid the sands of destiny reaching forth to touch the soul. As the sun begins its descent, painting the sky with hues of rose and gold, you find yourself entering the final chapter of this journey through the Sumerian lands. The dust settles and legends linger. Here, amid the quietude of ancient echoes, the rich tapestry of history finds its resting place, its stories continuing to whisper into the soul of time. Imagine standing at the heart of what was once a bustling city-state, now draped in silence and guarded only by the steadfast watch of the desert. The air is imbued with nostalgia, a lingering scent of aged stone and the soft rustle of sand carried gently by the wind. Time feels both tangible and transient, slipping through fingers like the fine grains beneath your feet, yet indelible as the stars above. In these sacred spaces where memory dwells, the legends of Sumer continue to unfurl their talus, a mainstream historical fact, revealing how this cradle of civilization set the stage for societies yet to come. Through architecture, governance, and storytelling, the Sumerians bequeathed a legacy that endures, pulsing softly within the heartbeats of modern life. In these concluding thoughts, historians still delve into the wisdom left behind, debating the intricate art of war and peace, the sway of divine lore over daily life, the dreams etched in cuneiform on tablets now entombed. Every debate, every curiosity, every lesson learned from Sumer is a thread binding us tighter to the tether of our shared human saga. Even as these stories find their closure, touches of whimsy and wonder persist. Imagine a weathered archaeologist crouching over an unassuming artifact, only to realize it is the Sumerian equivalent of a shopping list, a pragmatic reminder of life's enduring banality amid grandeur. Laughter echoes softly, a companion to these closing narratives, illuminating the timelessness of human nature. As the dusk deepens, casting its gentle veil over the land, there lies a final quirky tidbit, the tale of an old storyteller weaving an impromptu performance, blending humor and myth into a narrative that transcends the past. Before a captivated audience drawn from time's continuum, they recount the absurdity and brilliance that walked hand in hand through Sumer's streets. The desert cools, shadows stretching long upon the sands, as the remnants of stories and civilizations blur beneath twilight's gaze. In this winding down moment, the slowness of breath accompanies a reflective pause, a recognition of history not simply past, but alive in every whispered echo and loving touch, within every star-strewn night and sunlit revival. Drawing deeper into the silence of evening, you find solace in the rhythm of Sumer's legacy, as comforting as a lullaby on the breeze. Its tales fold gently into the fabric of the night, creating a tranquil path of memory cradled within the boundless expanse of human heart and history. These stories now rest, not in silence but in the shadowed cadence of gently swaying branches and the wind's dulcet hum, awaiting the curious and the dreamers to find and cherish them anew. With the final whispers of twilight fading into night's deeper embrace, a mellow peace accompanies this journey's close. Imagine a calm, enveloping presence, guiding you onward, forward, into the restful embrace of dreams. The sun dips below the horizon, the stars take their vigilant positions, and the dust of Sumer settles once more, only to rise again in stories yet told. The landscape stands, timeless yet ever-changing, welcoming you to rest now, to remember and dream upon this tapestry, a never-ending dance of story, humanity, laughter, and grace. The telling of history mellows, speaking gently into hearts and horizons. Sweet dreams.